In a world filled with magic and supernatural powers, I was forced to become a fugitive. Chapter 8. What Hayes used to train me. I had been under the impression that my sister was ruthless, but today I saw the title being handed to another person. Hayes begged Ayoth for rest. We had been running for almost 3 days, without much break. For the first 2 days, Ayoth and Miguel carried me. Today, after much persuasion, they allowed me to use my legs. When I was able to keep with their speed, there was a proud glint in my sister's eyes. My beta. There was nothing from Reese. She was not hurt nor was in any danger. All she sent was an emotion of warmth. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. I felt at least 5 during our small pack through her. Dharma and Beta's attack had that power. Please, my sister said, crumbling to her knees. Just 1 hour. Ayoth paused for a second. We are in northern Magwai tribe. The West Pack has good relation with this tribe. The Hawaiian will not be kind to us. But I stopped and knelt next to my sister. She needs rest. Before our run, she was tortured for 3 days. She has been pushing herself for 6 days without food or sleep. She needs this. Ayoth was about to protest, but Miguel glared at her. I know you are grieving over Katha's death, but to take it on a girl who was not responsible is not fair. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. I am a shifter, so I can keep up with you. But Hayes here is a werewolf, someone who was born in the era of the curse. She cannot be pushed much. Ayoth gritted her teeth, but she nodded. She went a few steps ahead and began to mutter something. What is she doing? I asked as I took my time to see the vast opening that surrounded us. We were in Kael'Teach grasslands. The grasslands that blended to marshes and finally have a way to the beach. This grassland was owned by the Magwai of Northern Tribe. The Hawaiian was Diana. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Miguel muttered as he sat next to Hayes. She can protect us against Magwai CS. Hayes leaned against a rock as she plucked a young grass. The fragrance of lemon hit me hard, silently shredding the poor grass in pieces. My sister looked up. If she can protect us, why did she not allow me to rest? Because, Ayoth said as she came and sat on the rock against which Hayes was leaning on. I was just out of prison. I was not willing to do anything until we reached the neutral lands. This tribe, the Hawaiian, is not someone we can brush off. Diana comes from a strong line. Hayes huffed. What difference was it going to make if we stop here or in neutral lands? Ayoth closed her eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Like an Omicron or an Alpha, the Hawaiian of this tribe will be able to detect my power. As this is a high tribe, they have connections with the dungeons. I don't want to cause problems. My sister nodded. What do you mean by being born in the era of the curse? Miguel gave my sister a eviled look. Even we, the ones who spent the majority of their lives in the dungeons with no connections with the outside world, knows this. How could you not? I have never heard of this. Miguel exasperated. Can you believe them? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The star nodded after a minute. Yes. The nobles aren't so noble. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The sky gathered its soldiers and stationed them perfectly. One command: they would show no mercy to the earth. We were stuck between their conversation, the conversation that was filled with words, glances, and sometimes pure connection, dialogues we sometimes used to soothe the ache in the soul, words that we sometimes wielded to tear the heart apart, glances and actions that could make or break us even more so that the words they said was deadly, and the connection that we living creatures simply craved. Was it not the same thing the sky and the earth wanted sometimes? to have a connection. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. While the earth bore the love, supported them, it was the sky and the stars who saw them. The nobles are powerful, Hayes said carefully. Her brown hair was tangled with leaves and twigs, and her skin was dusted with sweat and dirt. Not as powerful as they were during my time. Miguel grunted. They aren't fair as well. What do you mean? Sitting on my heels. Ages ago, Aliou said. Right 600 years to be precise. Shifters began to choose the animal they wanted to shift to. Hayes blinked. We had a choice. Yes, Miguel said. Well, not exactly. However, when you reach maturity, or you can say when your other half reaches maturity, you will shift for the first time, and whatever animal you shift into, that is the animal you will be recognized of. You can shift to other animals as well, whatever you preferred. The vampires had gifts, and Magwai had magic. What did we shifters have? Speed and strength. The other two races have that too. Amorous gave us a choice to wear whatever skin we liked. I blinked. Even with my years of searching the deep web with Livfire, I never came across such vital information. While the rest of the world had their own internet and satellites, we the residents of Laucris had our own sources. Great witches and warlocks had put their power to conceal the artificial probes that we had sent from the others. The technology was quite upgraded here. Alioth must have noticed my expression. Yes, what Miguel is saying is true. Shifters had that ability. I saw the designs Amorous had when she was going to create shifters. Hayes gave her a blank look. Who are you again? A star, she said simply. I was born way before the moon had his daughters. That's why there was not a doubt who was going to guard Luna. It was PH and myself. I blinked at her again. How old was she anyway? Did those years in the dungeon was just a blink of life for her? Why did she decide to be stuck there? Hayes snapped before me. Okay, Ancient One. Can you continue? Definitely. Endrio, Ayo said, smiling sweetly. Soon, there was a battle for power, and lands and vampires and Magwai CS left the shifters to fight on their own. They did not find a need to intervene. Their indifference led to bloodshed and loss of lives. When Luna saw her sister's creation die, all the bonds she created wither away. She could no longer bear it. She went ahead and begged her sister to take care of her creation. Miguel took over. Almaris came down and saw the extent of destruction herself. She was not pleased. The war began when an alpha challenged another one for not having shifted into a wolf the first time. The second alpha had shifted to a panther. When the feud broke because of this silly reason, she cursed the shifters to have only two skins, the human skin and a wolf skin. This was the first time I was hearing this story. Although our legends did say that shifters with other animal skins existed, Miguel was the first I had met. Livia had been so much into this portion of genetics that she had once said that werewolves had the gene to shift to other animals, but they were overpowered by the gene that gave the werewolves to shift to a wolf. So, it all depended on how the gene was activated. When your friend made you write the thesis paper, I was sure you would know what it was about. Liv was right. Hayes whispered. She was right about us having the genes. Alioth nodded. In your language, Almaris suppressed the gene that coded your other transformations and left only the gene that coded your wolf transformation. I stared at her in awe. How did she know? Alioth smiled, seeing me. We stars have advanced in science way ahead of humans and you guys. We travel at the speed of light and have the taste of immortality. What drugs did you think we were on? Meth? Hayes blurted. When the star gave her a ridiculous look, she cleared her throat. I meant, if you took a drug we knew, it would be easy for us. Alioth laughed. The drug will be compatible with your body. Trust me. All of Moon's daughter's creations are. Miguel gaped at her. What are you trying to say? Alioth sighed. When someone is punished severely in their pack, Kavanagh tried for a mistake that was not theirs. Moon takes them to be a part of his court. How does he achieve that? Hayes slumped. This is overwhelming. The star shot up from her seat and settled next to my sister. It is not. Your genes are just suppressed. That's all. Winds brushed against the shield Alioth had cast around us. Dried grass and flowers swirled with it until the breeze fell to a stupor. The veil was drawn and the awakening moon hid behind the clouds that brought a color with it. That's all. That is a great deal. Next to no one knows about this. And whose fault is that? Alioth fired. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It was the nobles who hid this from you. Why would they do that? Ahaz whispered. Because they want this curse to persist. Miguel rose to his feet. They want the shifters to have only wolf as a second skin. It is easier to control. An alpha does not need to prove that he can morph many animals. Just one beast is enough. Ahaz gasped. That's unfair. Alioth scoffed. But I do think there was another reason for this curse. What another? Alioth shrugged. I wish I knew. That's why all who knew about this curse was hunted down. Healed or silenced, the shifter said, giving Alioth a long look. I escaped because I was in the dungeon. What is yours? I shifted to a phoenix. Miguel smiled as if he recollected his memory. My mother was so scared, as she was a raven, and my dad was so proud. Phoenix is quite rare among shifters. It was one skin that gave the shifter to wield its power in their human form. I frowned and I got up. Something was not right. There was a subtle shift in the air. A burning feeling raced up my blood. It means, he said proudly, that I can call fire if I wish to in this form of mine. Ahaz nodded. This curse, how long will it persist? Until a shifter is born. Alioth shrugged. If the curse persists. Ahaz asked, how can a shifter be born? They can be. Alioth smiled. When a child born to two werewolves never shifted in the age werewolf shift. I think that child might be the key. I momentarily ignored my restlessness. What? Miguel laughed. Are you naive not to consider that possibility? You mean to say that? Ahaz began and looked at me with shock. That Lyra is a shifter. Alioth nodded and stood up. Her body, mind and soul are beginning to align. When they are one, she will shift. Banishment tried to force shift her. Thanks the moon. Kaltha prevented that. Had she shifted without the maturity, she would have got insane enough to demolish the entire West Pack. I shook my head and took a few steps back. I am not a shifter. You are, Miguel said with certainty. You are a shifter, and I believe that's why the dungeon let us go. Almaris wanted us to protect you. Then I sensed a presence. It was a female. From her aura, I was sure she held a rank. But what? Alioth grinned at me. What are your alpha senses telling you? That was my alpha senses. Someone is close by. I muttered. As soon as the words left my lips, a haze shot up. Her eyes were alert in her instinct to protect me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I thought so. Alioth said so. What are we going to do? Run, obviously. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Alioth shook her head no. We are still in this tribe's territory. We cannot outrun them. Let the witch come. You will talk your way through. I gaped at her. Me, you are the alpha. Are you not? She smiled, slyly. You're the threat. You should be the one to speak. The presence closed on us, while I kept glaring at the star. Miguel whistled. I knew he took a side. He would not help me. If anything, he would be the one to cause more trouble. Our haze was being torn apart. While she wanted to protect Hector Alpha, she knew Alioth's words rang true. It should be the Alpha who spoke, but she could not bear to see her little sister do it. An Alpha, a witch drawled behind me. Rogue Alpha nonetheless. What brings you here? When I turned, I was stunned to see her. She was a northern witch, but the brand on her shoulder said she was from the Summer tribe, ruled by one noble. What was she doing here? Next, 2 witches and a warlock stood. Ryush Kane, she said, her green eyes glinting. Of the northern tribe. Words were stuck in my throat. I had never been the one to initiate conversations. I was left alone in my lab and I was content with that. Who knew it would be a hindrance one day? Since I introduced myself. Ryush Kane said, taking just one step further. I expect you to do the same. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Was she addressing to me? When I glanced around, Alioth was smirking and Miguel was yawning. Hayes was the only one who was alert. I am Elful I was thrown. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Putting an effort in my voice. I just want to pass. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The witch behind Ryush Kane's niggered. You have a small peck. If I did not look carefully, I would have passed you for a gamma. And alpha. What a joke. TZAD Ryush Kane said, turning her head slightly. It would be nice if you could keep your opinions to yourself. I am investigating, aren't I? The blonde witch snorted. Investigating. My ass. You're going to throw them in the dungeon anyway. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. This is the Lyra. Alpha Ethan informed us of. I could not help but gasp at their relation. The TZEA and the Ryush of the tribe did not have an ounce of similarity, but the third witch had TZEE the S's blonde hair and Ryush Kane as electrifying green eyes. At her words, something in me snapped. I was not going to allow anyone to touch the 3 people behind me and walk out alive. A certain streak of possessiveness ran through me. I would like to hear her story too, Ryush Kane said, smiling at us. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. A story is not complete when only one side of it is known. I took a step further. Enthusiasm, in my peripheral vision, I saw Alioth giving me a slight nod. But I could feel her edge. She would definitely not go easy on this tribe as she had gone with the West Pack. She had lost her friend by going a little easy. Tell us the truth, child, the third witch said in a soft voice. Tell us, and we might consider not to give us up. Hayes asked sharply. No need to get tensed. Beta, Ryush Kane said. Zay Indiana here. She gestured at the witch who shared her eyes. Is quite considerate. Slowly, I felt the concealed aura of the northern tribe Zay. When I did, Zay Indiana smiled. A smile that was warm and comforting. What was this Zay doing? I must admit, suddenly coming into politics and power play was exhausting. Zay, my sister bowed a little before straightening herself. As my alpha said, we just wish to pass. Ryush Kane rose an eyebrow. But your former alpha said otherwise. Alpha Variah said that you broke out of the dungeon built by the moon and you were to be sent back. Alioth stepped forward and flicked her wrist. Seeing her, the Magwisias froze. We did not break out, the star said with a degree of coldness that even had the Zayan of Northern Tribe motion. The dungeon let us out. Who are you? Tizi Divas breathed. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Indiana said before Alioth could. A warrior star. Alioth smirked. Indeed, a warrior star I am. I am here to aid my friend. Lyra, who was thrown in the dungeon by the new female Alpha Harper because Lyra is the true mate of Alpha Ethan. Ethan rejected her and marked a female. Disarm were in the moon and Luna. We need to pass. Ryush Kane blinked and licked her lips. Rejected. And Alpha's mate. How is she alive? An Omicron gave Lyra her life essence to survive. Miguel said. Doll. Zay Indiana sighed and nodded. We will allow you to pass. But only once. Come another time. We have to report you. With that, the ZAYN and the TZAD of the tribe left. The warlock stayed silently behind Rish Kane, while Hayes asked, "Why, let's go." Rish Kane smiled. ZAYNs? Like Alpha Syndomicrons can detect lies. She sensed no malice from you. Only the truth. And rejection is not a trifle thing. She must have not thought you as a threat to our tribe. And did you not say that you only need to pass? I nodded slowly yes. Her eyes suddenly flashed silver. Then leave. Don't step in our lands again without an invite. We are risking the treaty we have with the West Pack. Leave before any patrol witch or warlock sees you. A minute after the Ridge and her companion left, Ayuth chuckled softly next to me. What is it? Annoyed. Just wait. The star smiled as though knew a secret. The invite Trish Kane spoke about. You will receive it soon. Chapter 8.1. The witch before her gritted her teeth. You are coming home. Kane could care less. When she found a mate was in the summer tribe 50 years ago. She had been thrilled. She left her tribe impulsively and joined the summer tribe under EAY and Priscilla. Now she was paying the price for abandoning her mother tribe Y. Kane roared, swirling the glass in her hand. Why should I return? The elder witch before her exasperated. Is this how you are going to spend the rest of your life? Drinking away? Kane opened one eye. Yet she did not bother to get up from the sofa. She was quite content how she was. Laying on the sofa, doing nothing. What about it? She snorted and emptied the gin the glass had in one shot. Just because Roland left. Kane snarled, smashing the glass on the floor. Don't speak about him. The door to her house was knocked. By the faint scent of lilies. Kane knew who was out. To my agent extraordinaire, Mayen Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The Witch of Summer Tribe said. When the door opened, a fresh breeze carried away a fractal of pungent smell, like tumbled after the winds and roamed all around her living room. A young witch wearing a pastel blue dress stood at the doorway with a basket in her hand. Freshly baked cookies were in it. Kane rose her eyebrows. Why did she not smell it earlier? Was the alcohol affecting her brain too much? Entering the house, she closed the door with a loud bang. As soon as the young witch came, she glared at Kane as she placed the basket before the ZAYN of the northern tribe. Without a word, she drew the curtains and opened the windows. As if she was weaving a spell, the laziness in the house fled. What? Kane asked the young witch. Instead of answering her, Esm turned to the older witch. I spoke to ZAY and Priscilla. You can take her away. Grandmother. Kane gasped and shot up. How dare you? To my agent extraordinaire, Maslin Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The witch snapped. Her blue eyes filled with fury. I can no longer see you like this. To my agent extraordinaire, Maslin Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I am pretty sure even your son would agree. You are wasting your life. Wasting my life. Kane sniggered. What life? Ez neared her and shook her shoulders roughly. Wake up. You were meant to be the ZAYN of the northern tribe. See how you are now. Kane shrugged off her daughter-in-law's hands. ZAYN. I am pretty sure Zarola is being trained for that. Her mother sighed. Zarola is being trained. But if you return, her claim will be nothing. Even she recognizes this. If you return, Zarola will give her claim. Kane snorted as she strode to her shelf. Taking a new glass, she refilled it. She is meant to be the ZAYN, not me. Fine, Diana said, getting up from her chair. She will be the ZAYN. But at least can you return home? Kane shook her head. Nope. Why not? Her mother asked. You are just 100 years old. Yet you want to give up so easily. Esm snorted. If anything, you still look sexy. Kane groaned and gulped the contents of her glass again. Do you think I care about my beauty? But it might give you some confidence. Esme snatched the bottle of gin from her hands. Not this alcohol. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Kane wind. You're going, Esme said with finality. You are going to pick yourself. Catch up. Don't let us do this to you. There were days when Esme used to listen to her. Everyone used to listen to her. Her mate had been the brother of the current Zayn. But when Roland betrayed her for a human, Kane lost it. He betrayed her for a human of all things. Was she not beautiful enough? Kane had fiery red hair that complemented her vivid green eyes. Her face had laughter lines, and her full lips knew how to smile despite anything. Not to mention, she had a great body even after 2 pregnancies. While many witches could not even conceive one, she gave that warlock children. I can't come back home and do nothing. Kane mumbled. Gina is leaving our tribe. Her mate happens to be a human. She is giving up her immortality to be with him. A new post is free if you want it. Her mother shrugged. Then, something, somewhere deep in her snapped. Slowly, Kane began to smirk. I feel an intrusion, Zarola said, closing her eyes. Darren, can you check it? Her twin kicked her. Why are you sending my mate? Seeing this, Kane sighed. I will go and see. Whoever trespassed seems to have a great presence. I will go too, her mother said, coming out of the garden. Mud encrusted her hands and small seeds with her clung to her pants. Teasy Divasse, you will accompany us. Her sister glared at her mother. Why the ZA and shrugged. You complained of Arrow lost ending your mate. Why don't you accompany him? Ever since she came here, Zarola and Vese had been subtly fighting. It had been 1 year since Air sent her home, and this was what she saw. Being the eldest, at time Kane felt to hit them, but then she realized where she stood. She was Yasin, she was here just to heal. As soon as her mother saw her fit, Kane would leave the tribe. Perhaps the neutral lands would not be so bad after all. Vese gritted her teeth. Why not Arola? She is next Zayn. Should she not be there? Zay Indiana gave her youngest daughter a pointed look. Who is the Za in here? Vese lowered her eyes. You are. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nelbert. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Has my judgment ever gone? No, mother, Vese said, and Kane could hear the strain in her voice. Zaro unadded. I shall have it ready. Mother must have said something to her via the mind link. Half a century ago, Kane would have minded being left from a conversation. But now, she hardly cared. Giving her sister a nod, Kane left, with Da'an following her. Behind them, Mother and Vese came, and from the clenched jaws of Diana and hard look in Vese's eyes, the mother duo was having a fight. Kane sighed. She used to fight with her daughter too, but it was never like the one behind her. The aura she picked was strong. 'Tis strong, not to mention the scent that clouded her senses. Even Roland's scent did not have such an effect on her. The scent of earth and linen, so refreshing. She saw the back of a girl who was facing 3 others. Riush Kane. Out of curiosity, from the aura of the girl, Kane could tell she was an alpha. Her mother should be the one who spoke. Not her. Of the northern tribe. The alpha turned and the other she, Wolfshaw, was sitting. Stood up as if she wanted to protect the alpha. The girl was in the young alpha's pack. Since I introduced myself. Riush Kane said, and no one said anything. To locate the scent that was playing with her, she took a step forward. I expect you to do the same. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I am Alpha Iris Throne. I just want to pass. Alpha L while R's voice trembled. Was it her first time speaking like an alpha? When her mind recognized her name, Kane was tempted to take a step back and allow her mother to take over. Continue. Kane. Her mother said to her via the mind link. I want to know Lyra's story. Alpha Varia told us and a few things don't add up. I want to know. Yes, Zayn. Kane replied. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Versace, you have a small pack. If I did not look carefully, I would have passed you for a Gamma. And Alpha. What a joke. Kane resisted the urge to facepalm. Sometimes Versace was hard. Versace, Diana reprimanded. I would love if you are quiet. Eve Versace straightened her back and nodded slightly. Tzad Versace, Kane said, turning her head slightly. It would be nice if you could keep your opinions to yourself. I am investigating. Aren't I? Mother already said. Dear sister, there's Ace Pat. Why remind me? She could hear the mockery in her voice. Despite being the eldest, Kane allowed it to slide. She's gaining the young Alpha's trust, their mother said. Learned from her. Versace, the blonde which snorted. Investigating. My ass. You are going to throw them in the dungeon anyway. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. This is Lyra. Alpha Ethan informed us of. Kane sighed mentally. Sometimes, her sister was so impatient. As much as Versace was loved by her friends, she really did not know how to make new ones. I would like to hear her story too, Kane said, smiling at the intruders. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. A story is not complete when only the one side of it is known. Somewhere in the mind link. Kane feft is arrow lost mark. Then you say, you are not fit to be the Zayn. Just one word. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I will give this right away. Tell us the truth, child. Mother said in a soft voice. Tell us and we might consider. Consider not to give us up. The she wore fast sharply. Her voice was like honey poison. No need to get tensed. Beta, Kane said, detecting her aura. Zay and Diana here. She gestured at the witch who shared her eyes. Is quite considerate. Her mother's eyes had a glint the young Alpha or the Beta noticed. Perhaps. Only she did. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Kane knew her mother well enough. Zayn. The Beta bowed a little before straightening herself. As my Alpha said, we just wish to pass. The Beta had manners. Kane would her give that. Kane rose an eyebrow. But your former Alpha said otherwise. Recalling the phone her mother received. Alpha Varia said that you broke out of the dungeon built by the moon and you are to be sent back. Then the female behind the pack member steps front. Seeing her onyx eyes, Kane felt a tremor run up her spine. What was this female? When she flicked her wrist, the scent Kane craved multiplied. Sadly, each of the four had the scent. It was like their scents were intermixed. Yet, the scent soothed the ache in her soul. We did not break out. The female said with a degree of coldness that even had the Zayn of Northern tried motionless. The dungeon let us out. Who are you? This A breathed behind her. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Zay Indiana said. A warrior star. Are they real? Kane asked. Even I thought they were a myth when my grandmother uses to tell their stories. Seems like they are true, her mother said. But it's an honor we got to meet her. The star smirked. Indeed, a warrior star I am. I am here to aid my friend. Lyra, who was thrown in the dungeon by the new female Alpha Harper because Lyra is the true mate of Alpha Ethan. Ethan rejected her and marked a female. Disowering the moon and Lou? We need to pass. Kane blinked and licked her lips. She knew what Lyra felt. What Lyra was going through. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Did she not go through the same? Rejected. And Alpha's mate. How is she alive? Kane forced herself to ask. And Omicron gave Lyra her life essence to survive. The male said. Dull. As much as Kane did not like the way the male replied, she could not help but look at him with awe. He was the first shifter she was seeing. All she had heard was tales, and now seeing a shifter and a star brought out the little girl in her. Hope you are well. A cool voice resonated in Kane's mind. Kane froze and immediately stretched her mind to see who spoke to her. But to her surprise she found none. I am in front of you. The voice laughed. Then her body relaxed. Was it the star? It had to be. I have a name, the star said. And that is Ayoth. Kane kept the shock out of her face with great difficulty. To hear that ancient voice who might have seen the life taking its first breath on earth was a blessing enough. This female before her was someone who made time her friend and space her home. She was born in the cosmos. Kane could only dream of seeing. She was talking to a witch like her, a witch who was thrown away by her Chandra-given mate. It is that warlock's stupidity to leave you, Ayoth said. Don't put it on yourself. But, Kane said after a second, I let him go with her. I did not fight him. I could not fight for us. You did the right thing, the star said in a voice that might have mimicked the white hole. You let him go because you were strong. Only the strong could let go. You let him go because he was being a poison to you. You chose yourself. That is important, be you. The moon's daughter knows the importance of self, respect and dignity. Most importantly, love yourself. You choose yourself over what was destroying you. What is wrong in that? Zayuwai Indiana sighed and nodded, pulling Kane from her conversation. We will allow you to pass. But only once. Come another time. We have to report you. She did not know what game her mother was playing. But for now, she will let the young Alpha go. With that, the ZAYN and the TZD of the tribe left. Doran stayed silently behind Kane. Why aren't you going? She asked, the warlock behind her. Vese wanted me to stay behind. Doran said. Kane gritted her teeth. Why? The Basset in authoritative tone. Why let us go? Kane wore a smile. ZAYNs, like Alphas and Omicrons, can detect lies. She sensed no malice from you. Only truth. And rejection is not a trifle thing. She must have not thought you as a threat to our tribe. And did you not say that you only need to pass? It was then she realized the source of the scent. The fragrance of earth after rain and lemon. What an odd combination. Yet it enthralled her. The Alpha Nothinoli. Yes, realization. The star smirked. She tried to tone it down. Be you, but how could it be possible? Chandra might have given this new bond. Ario smiled. She is watching. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. This gives me hope. Despite the early realization, Kane could not control the primal need to mark. Then leave. Don't step in our lands again without an invite. We are risking the treaty we have with the West Pact. Leave before any patrol witch or warlock sees you. Sending away. Alio asked. For the Alpha's safety. The invite. Kane almost bit her tongue. You know. With that, she turned to leave. Kane, her mother said through the mind link. That Alpha is a shifter. The one who might break the curse. Kane took a deep breath and left the arena, fearing she might do something she should not do. Doran followed her, but she could feel the questions he wanted to ask. Zarola was snarling at their mother when she reached their home. You let her go. The Zayn of Spring Tribe wanted her. Dana ignored her sec and daughter. What is it? Kane, still stupefied. She muttered. Those eyes. Beautiful. As if knowing something. Her mother smiled. Why don't you follow that Alpha and see what they are up to? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Kane asked. snapping from her revive. Go the Zay and smiled, ignoring Arola and Vess as protests, as though she had a secret to protect. Chapter 9. My heart still trembled from the encounter we had with the northern tribe. Had I let my pet down? I had spoken nothing convincing for the Zay to let go of us and by Alio Thesmak. I knew she had something to do with our release. If this was the case, how could I call myself an alpha? Where was my voice? Now running in the neutral grasslands, I still could not help but keep replaying what happened in the past few hours. Lost in my monologue, I did not notice the star who had stopped running. I ran into her and stumbled back. Our Hayes, who had stopped beside the star, gave me a questioning stare for which I shrugged. Miguel subtly nodded. Perhaps Alioth might have said something to him. Turning, the star said, "Step back. I need to summon." Our Hayes rose an eyebrow. Sizing my sister, Alioth finally gave in. Sigh, PH. My fiancé. Miguel cleared his throat. Not to be nosy, but you have been here for 1,600 years. You think that guy is still engaged to you? Alioth snorted. It may be a millennium to you, beings of Earth, but to us, it can be time to just bat an eyelid or live an entire lifetime. We can control time. Time is not an abstract thing to us. It is very well moving and living. And as for PH breaking our engagement, I can feel it. If he breaks it or keeps it, I can feel it. It can be explained like a mark to you, while your mark is physical, and all can see it. Ours is spiritual. Soul's mark. At her words, my sister gaped at her while Miguel just pouted. Not fair. I blinked. That sounds solid. Like you can't break from the other half. Alioth then laughed warmly. It is quite complicated. Soul bound is what we call a mate bond. While you can choose with whom you bond, sometimes the bond just snaps into place and suddenly you are seeing your soul bound. While soul bounds are very serious business. We stars do take partners and you can bear children with them. These partner bonds can be snapped anytime. At this, I was pretty sure that my jaws were hanging. Closing my mouth, I turned away. My mother is an example, Alioth said, gazing at the starlight sky wistfully. She was my father's consort for more than 1,000,000 years. She had me and my sister, Doug here and my brother. When she came down to Earth with Luna, she saw a vampire and fell in love with him, breaking the bond she had with my father. She claimed he was her soul bound. She gave up on immortality and stayed with that vampire until she was brutally killed. My father, on the other hand, took another partner and had a daughter with her. Megai's E. So it really doesn't matter to us. Hayes frowned. Your father never fell in depression or sadness when your mother left. Alioth smiled. For just 3 years. But as I said, it passed like 3 hours for us. When birth is rare and death even rarer. We have so many of us. 7 billion humans. That's all. 1 billion of Moon's creation. We are literally everywhere in the universe. I have no idea how many of us are there. Once someone tried to count our population. She is yet to be seen. No love. Hayes whispered. Alioth's eyes left her home and fell on my sister. Between soul bounds, there exists love so phenomenal that would make you think that the universe is nothing before it. While the one between partners is strong enough, even if we take a partner for just a few hours, we love them like no other. We know what love means more than any of you. Not many break their bond, as you're thinking. Out of 1,000,000, perhaps, just a few thousands break it. Many are content with their chosen partner for the rest of their lives. So much so that, when one fades away, the other follows no matter the time. A soft breeze caressed over us and took the heat of the conversation with it. As the nightlife came to life, an orchestra was sung by the insects and the shy dinky flowers opened their petals. A few bold ones dared to fill the air with their sweet fragrance. The moon shone in a clear sky, standing proud and tall with its army of stars. There was once a time when I used to stargaze and lose myself in their beauty, but seeing one right in front of me, I could no longer look at the stars just as a vision of allurement. A certain feeling of reverence and pride ran through me. Shaking her head, Alio said, "Stepped back. All of you." Nodding, I took about a tense back, while a haze stood a step in front of me. Miguel whispered something in Aliof's ears before coming towards us. Then she bent and began to draw something on the ground with a stick she picked up. A rune, a mark, her knew, but it was graceful and elegant. After drawing it, she drew a huge circle around it. The second she finished it, the rune flared up. A blinding white light erupted from it. As its intensity increased, I shut my eyes closed. 2/3 vibrated on the earth we stood on. The red glow behind my eyes vanished slowly and a very distinct scent wafted to my nose. I had never smelled such a scent in my life. Perhaps it was something from the W. Elkins. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. A male voice called. The voice was deep, masculine and strong, as though time was unable to touch it. A strong urge to now down laced my body. I pried my eyes open to see 2 males standing before Ayoth. One male with silver hair stood an inch behind the black-haired one with vibrant blue eyes. Electricity and nebula dust played in those blue eyes. His skin was nothing short of a map of many wars he had seen. His stance was held proud and his very presence screamed how much a warrior he was. The male behind him had a gentleness in his frosty grey eyes. In spite of having a fit form, intelligence shone in them. Yet I could see dust storms that galaxies had in him. Are you seeing what I am seeing? His asked through our mind link, when she used our intimate connection. A burst of pride roared in me. We were a pack, no matter what. Yes, I said. Quite attractive, she commented, and I had a vague feeling that had the 2 males not been a star, our haze would have winked at them. They are. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It was about time, the dark-haired male said, taking Aliof's hand and gently laying a kiss on it. I was getting quite worrisome. You know why I came down, she said, and that was the first time I heard her voice with a touch of gentleness, love, and I dare say shyness. You could be worried for me not being with you for just 1,700 years. PH sighed and near Dalioth. He hugged her tight and rested his forehead against hers. I missed you. A chuckle left her lips. I never took you for being a cheesy romantic. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He rubbed his nose against hers and pulled away. Your brother here, jerking his head towards the 2W-headed male, has been promoted as the Scholar 1,300 years ago. She looked past her lover, yet did nothing to step away from his embrace. Congratulations. Miser scowled. You could have come up 1,000 years ago. Oh well, Ayoth cooed. Did my baby brother miss me? He gave her a disgusted look. I spoke with Ares about 20 years ago. He said you could have left. Why did you stay? When he said that name, a shiver ran up my spine. Ares was a warrior of Moon, one of the best Moon had. He had sworn loyalty to Amaris, she who was called the Light of the Moon. During my days in the dungeon, I had heard Dalioth grumble about how powerful those warriors of Moon were. Even among the stars, they were quite powerful. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She asked as her eyebrows met. You spoke with him 20 years ago. It has nothing to do with. Miser nodded, running a hand through his hair. Yes. If you have forgotten, he's still on his mission. I spoke with him 20 years ago. Apart from that, I did not contact him. Ayoth frowned and then asked not her brother but her fiancé. They have not yet finished up. PH shook his head. We haven't heard from them in 3 years. I don't worry about them, but the mission they undertook. They are the most capable stars to carry out any order. But if they are taking this long, I really wonder what has gone amiss. Ayoth nodded. Then, as if realizing we were standing behind her, she turned. "This is Alpha Lyra Throne. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Next. "That girl is Beta Ahe's Throne of Alpha Lyra's pack. And that is Miguel, my cellmate." Then she nuzzled her face on his shoulder. "This breeding male is my sole, chosen mate. PH. That silverhead is my brother." I politely bowed my head. My sister followed me without a split-second hesitation, while Miguel did with a prominent frown on his face. PH's eyes wide and in a dark shade proud in them. A shifter in this era. Amorous, did forgive, I bet. Alio rolled her eyes. I always knew she would forgive them. Misa snorted. "Well, if you work in the research sector, you might understand how pissed Amorous was with her creation. She was half going to destroy their DNA and delete some important codes. If not for our scholars, she would have done it without any hesitation." Our haze cleared her throat. "Why would our matron be furious with us?" Mysa's sharp gaze fell on my sister as if he was offended she was talking to him. As if she was a peasant and he a royal. My sister lowered her head and muttered. "To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Even if my sister yielded, I would not. Rage burned through me. Who was this star to belittle my sister? What rights did he have? He was born a star because of luck. Of chance. Was he going to use that against us? My lips pulled up, and a low snarl left my throat. Miguel gave me a smirk. There's the spine Harper was worried you did not have. When had he heard that part of our conversation? Or was his hearing that great? Mysa's cold face broke into a warm smile that I had detected in his eyes the first time surfaced. She would make a great helper. Alioth glared her brother. Now is not the time to test. That was a test. A test to see whether I was worthy of being a shifter. I bit back the rest of my sounds of protest. She had to be worthy, Mysa said, giving me a smile. One of the four sisters personally came and cared for her soul. Her soul was one among the few. It has been ages since I saw her personal care. I have almost never seen her care for a soul so much. As the fury subsided, confusion took over. What? Mysa's lips pulled up in a smirk, an action that made him appear as though he was untouchable. It was a shifter who wronged Luna. Ever since that, Amorous refused to create another shifter. The three daughters of Moon often created souls, but Amorous refused to create another one after the betrayal of a shifter. When war broke between the Alphas, she further lost a last ray of hope. I had preserved the shifter's genes, out of which one is made to the will of three sisters. After those for your genes, a boy named Raoul is a shifter after you. Our haze took a stop front. Raoul, from the Western Pack. Mysa's eyes glazed for a second before nodding. Nephia's son. Miguel blinked and then laughed. That kid. Who would have known? He's half human. Our haze blurted. Mysa glanced at his sister. Should I break it to her? Ayo sighed and gently pried PH's arms around her. A child born during heat is born only between mates. On any other day, the female may carry a child out of mate's hip, but during heat, only her mates. Not to mention, a wolf would go into heat only if she met her mate, and I strongly believe that Livia's mate is a shifter. Then why did she lie to us? Ayo shrugged and stood between PH and Mysa. Perhaps to protect him. Perhaps her family was disappointed by him. Who knows? We would have never judged her otherwise. There was an edge to our Haze's voice. A cloud passed over the moon and denied the earth of light momentarily. In that absolute darkness, I caught the faint glow the three stars had. It shrouded them like a blanket, giving us a feeling of safety and warmth. Perhaps she did not want you to know who he was. Alio said. If that is Al, wait. I exclaimed, looking at Mysa. If Daughters of Moon made both me and Raoul, is he a shifter too? A smile curved his lips, a shine lit his grey eyes. Clever, but I never said the daughters of Moon made you both. Before I could reply anything, my Tsar vanished in blinding speed, like a flash of light. What did he mean by that? Everything made so much sense now. Werewolf had been so interested in my blood and gene, especially after Ronu was born. She must have not known what was wrong with him, but he must have shared whatever mutations Livia said I had. That explained why she was so into shifting and morphing. Only that, whatever Ryu and I shared were not mutations. Alioth kissed IPH and muttered something in his ears. At her words, he looked at a confused Miguel and nodded. Then he too followed his brother in Law's footsteps. After he left, Alioth grinned at us. That was a scholar. In your words, one who works in labs and is a scientist. You can ignore my brother's words. Lyra, as much as they can. Only you can control your fate. Even we stars cannot control to things, fate and future. Be careful. I nodded. But he made sense and no sense at the same time. Somehow, a haze snorted. He did not. He made me more confused. Alioth laughed. Had we had more time? Haze, I would have kidnapped you to my place. You are literally the one person who can understand me. The language of sword and art of duel makes so much sense than staring at the what you call. She frowned and then clicked her fingers. At the computers and cramping up so many names. My sister smirked in response. Drop by once a while. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Krishut's enthusiasm. I need someone to stay say no. I am pretty sure you will meet someone, the star said, her voice full of mirth. Then she walked towards Miguel, putting him into a hug. She kissed his cheeks. My friend through darkness and despair. My brother who had hoped to see the sun and taste the winds of freedom. I am thankful to meet you. Let your heart guide you. Miguel S. Limpons hugged her back. My friend. Alioth chuckled, but a single tear escaped from her right eye, wiping it. Did you know that stars never cry? Our tears are worth so much more than our hours and our light. Yet, you, Miguel, managed to make me cry. Unlike her, Miguel cried hard. Tears streamed down his face and he was the least bit ashamed of it. You are leaving me. Alioth shook her head, but I could see sadness swirling behind them. As much as she claimed that 1,700 years were just a blink of an eye for her, she had formed bonds here that I was sure she would never forget. I knew that one for sure, for I had heard her cries for night since Cathara's death. Seeing these two, I suppressed my urge to cry. Alioth patted his back. I am not leaving you forever. I will always watch over you. She pointed at the sky. If you miss me, just want to talk to me, just look up. I will be there next to you no matter where I am in the universe. That was when I realized that the bond Alioth, Miguel and Cathara had shared was not a normal one. It went beyond the soul. He sniffed. I will try. That's good. She smiled. Remember our plan. How can I forget? Miguel asked, his voice trembling. Varian can find a way to keep you safe. He's out there. Irene told me how to find him. I will send you the location of Silas through your mind. Alioth said, gently moving from Miguel's embrace. He will definitely help. I nodded. Anything else? Varian. She trailed off. Ask him for land. Even if it is small. You need to own land to your name. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Krishut's enthusiasm. You will go crazy. He will know what to do. To meet him, find Silas. The clouds that had veiled the moon slowly passed. But now, even under the moon glow, I could see her light. Is that all? Alioth shook her head. You will make it an amazing alpha. Before my lips could stretch into a smile, she left. Why had she left so soon? I stared at the space she was standing on. I snapped out of my trance only when a haze shook her hands in front of my eyes. Why did she leave so soon? I whispered. Did you not know? A haze asked. Saying goodbyes is one of the most painful things. For the better half of the night, Miguel made us walk. The grass gave way beneath us while a few bent to submission. He stayed stubbornly. Fireflies took off and tried to mimic the glow the stars gave the sky. As much as they were beautiful, they failed by a long shot. Miguel walked ahead of us, humming a tune my memory failed to recollect, while a haze followed us, caressing the overgrown grass, walking like a lost puppy. As much as I hated to admit, Miguel was perfect in telling time without a watch. 3 hours passed since Alioth had left and 3 hours since silence licked its way into our group. I never expected her presence to have such an effect on us. Only the various scent of pollution and spices brought me from my stupor. Before us was a town, noting that we were still in neutral lands. This could easily be a human settlement. But the various scents of werewolves, vampires and magYCS with humans informed me otherwise. As we entered the town, a half magYC who was leaning on a motorbike with a cigarette in his hands leapt to his feet. His 3 half-breed friends took a step seeing him, when his brown eyes met mine, smashing the burning cigarette under his boot. What would I give to squash him like that cigarette under my boots? Looking down, I realized what a sight I must have been. My left sole had the hole from the nail that pierced my foot back in the dungeon, and my dress was half torn and spattered with blood and dirt. A junkie might be cleaner than me. Haze was in no condition better than me. Her jeans were ripped for someone who hated ripped jeans with a passion. Her shoes were at least intact. Miguel was wearing the same rags I saw him within the dungeon. Steps back. Haze hissed at him. He opened to say something, but then quickly shouted a command to his fellow mates and hopped on his bike and sped away. Seeing their leader flee, the punks fled. They might have felt who Haze was. Beta was not someone one should take lightly. Will your friend still be here? I asked Miguel. A phoenix shifter grinned at me. Trust me, Silas lives here. At least that's what Alioth told me a few hours ago. I huffed. What happened that Alioth did not know? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Miguel led us in the maze of the city. I tried to ignore all the stares that I attracted, but deep down, I just wished I had been a little cleaner. Following the stolen glances were the whispers. Who knew what lies were being spun around any gathering? Then the population on the road dwindled to a point where only one rag digger was lying on the road. Darkness claimed that tiny street when the only glowing lamppost died. Yet, Miguel continued forward and knocked a worn out door at the end of the alley. Who's there? A voice boomed from inside. Instead of replying, Miguel kept on rapping the door. If he's not going to break down that door, I will. Haze whispered in my ears. Try to stop me. I will help you. I replied glumly. Just a glass of water and a night's sleep was all I asked now. Suddenly, the door was opened with a force, revealing a bald man with missing teeth. He was quite fat for his age. Seeing Miguel, his eyes widened. From his scent, I could say he had magYC in his lineage. Silas. Shutting the door on us again. Frowning at the door. Is that normal? He turned and gave me a smirk. Wait, nurse. My frown deepened and I was about to ask another question when the door opened and a man with grass, green hair and brown eyes stepped out. His pale skin was covered with patterns of ink that fascinated me a lot. The sharpness on his face contradicted his soft features. Miguel? His voice deep and soft. The tips of his fangs glinted in the moonlight, and the scent of blood gave him away. Silas. Miguel grinned. Long time no see. You were in the cursed dungeons. The vampire hissed. Then looking at us, he took in a deep breath. Opening the door wider, he motioned for us to enter. Come in. I don't want to answer the damned patrols. Seeing Miguel enter, with Haze right next to me, Silas closed the door behind us and flipped on a switch. The bulb lit up, casting a yellow glow on all the boxes that were arranged in this room. Were we in a storeroom? What now? Silas asked in a hard voice. Did I disturb you from your meal? Miguel teased. Miguel. Silas warned. Don't you fucking get me started. Miguel sobered up. The dungeon let us out. The vampire in the black suit blinked. Say me what is possible. Then how the hell am I here? He let us out. Clenching his fist. Silas looked at me. Even if his eyes seemed to look at my mind, I stared back. I was no longer the beta's daughter. I was the alpha. Need land for her? Silas asked. I will tell you everything. Miguel promised. If you give us the location where Varian is. Silas closed his eyes. I can't. Alpha Ira here is a shifter. Silas. Miguel said in a controlled voice. Give us the location and I will tell you everything. Miguel. Freaking stars came down. Man, Miguel interrupted, running his fingers through his hair. Outside Eastern Coven, there is a cave, which us Pyclocals know very well, Silas said. Enter the cave. It will take you to Eastern Beach. A part of Eastern Coast no one knows. That's where Varian is. Irene is with him.